Everyone, I'm back. This is going to be my follow-up review to my first impressions video of DUA Fragrance's Savage Elixir. So this is their version of, their clone of Dior Sauvage Elixir. My first impressions video, if you haven't seen it, they were drastically different, at least a good amount. I had rated the DUA at an 80 to 85% potentially, as far as how close it was to the original. Honestly, with it being closer to the 80 side. Now on paper, the test strips that I used at the time, I had too much stuff on my skin, so I had to use paper. The DUA came off a lot sweeter than the original. The original was a lot darker. And there was this sweetness from what smelled almost like a saffron, something you would get from Baccarat Rouge 540, coming out in the DUA. Now, I've had a chance to wear it, to wore today. I wore them both, so I could do a direct side-by-side comparison, had one on one arm, one on the other. I'll say this, they definitely smell different on the skin, okay? That said, the DUA Savage Elixir doesn't smell as sweet on the skin, not as sweet as it did on paper. In that regard, it makes it closer to the original. But it smelled very harsh and synthetic. There was something about it that just made it smell off-putting. And you don't get that with the Sauvage Elixir. Now, I will say, after about the 30-minute mark, once you're kind of deep into the dry down, they smell a lot closer, okay? So if you can get past that harsh opening, and it's a pretty long opening, because it's a DUA, so it drags out, like everything's drug out from the ISOE Super. If you can get past that, it gets closer, quite a bit closer. I'm talking probably about 90%, okay, of the original. So a lot closer in the dry down. So it becomes much better in the dry down. I will say this, they both performed long. I got better performance out of the original. I could still smell the original really strong. At about 6 o'clock, before I had to jump in the shower, I put these on, I want to say, maybe about 11. I had to jump in the shower because I had to go do something else. And prior to that, the original was there. DUA was still there, but it smelled a lot softer, and something weird kind of happened. So the original was still very rich. It smells just like there's more depth to it, and that's something that when you compare them side by side, you will notice the main difference when it gets far into the dry down, and why it still stays at a 90%, because the original has more depth. It smells richer. It smells of higher quality. There's no denying there's a difference if you spray them side by side, but in the dry down it gets closer. It'll get upwards towards 90%. The last 10% really comes from a quality difference, and it is pretty clear. But it still smells good, okay? And it smells pretty dang close. But what kind of happened that I was surprised about was at that point, before I got in the shower, so I had it on now about 7 hours, DUA's version smelt like Elysium. It was like there was that vetiver from Elysium coming out. I don't know where that came from or why it was so prominent, because it wasn't in the real one. It was almost like it changed into a different fragrance, kind of. Now, strangely enough, I got in the shower, obviously showered, scrubbed myself, everything else, whatever, get out. The DUA was gone at that point. And then I could still smell the original. The original then kind of resembled what the DUA did prior to getting out of the shower. I don't know what the heck was going on. It was really weird. It's almost like some of the notes didn't carry over as long as the DUA went through its process. Like some of it was lost throughout the, whatever, the maturation of the scent as it kind of went through the stages. But it was very different, and I don't think I would ever notice it had I not been comparing them side by side. But again, It does get a lot closer in the dry down. There is a difference in quality. There's absolutely a difference in quality. There's absolutely a difference in as far as the depth of the scent. It doesn't smell as rich as just, of quality as the real one, but it gets a heck of a lot closer. So if you can get past the first 30 minutes or so, it is a decent cologne, okay? But it's, again, I went over this again. I'm not going to talk about it now. Price per mil. When this is on sale, when DUA is on sale, to me, I think it's just worth getting the real thing. They're not that drastically different. You're saving about $20. And again, the quality difference is it's noticeable. Now, again, you're comparing them both. I think you'll still get compliments from this. I actually got a compliment today. Somebody, when I was checking out the store, threw a shield and had a mask on, and she was about, 8 feet away, could smell me. Now, obviously, I don't know which one of these two were doing it. It's a combination of the two. I was wearing both of them. But anyone to give a follow-up review, that it does get better, okay? Gets a lot closer. It's still missing some of that richness and some of that just depth that the original has.